why 2025 was such a dud for struggling cinemas. I sent you the story in the private chat, Badger, but check this out. Another disappointment. The movie theater comeback that wasn't. It seems to be that theaters have kind of tapped out. They can't eclipse more than 9 billion. What that means is the market cap, the amount of money that movie theaters can make, it's capped and shrinking. Badger, if you would, just the first couple paragraphs.
Sure. Some comeback. Past 12 months, we're supposed to turn things around for struggling cinemas, but instead of heralding a dramatic return to moviegoing, 2025 is running neck and neck with the middling 2024 box office and will fall far short of the $9 billion in domestic ticket sales that most analysts expected the theatrical movie business to easily eclipse. Prior to the pandemic, North American revenues would regularly hit between $10 billion to $11 billion. The 2025 results are a massive disappointment that no amount of spin can change. Already, there's talk of how much better 2026 will be. Hollywood will fix in 2026. You'll see. There's an unfortunate trend, which that we just can't get the industry to $9 billion at the domestic office, says Mike Sherrill, the chief operating officer of dine-in cinema chain Alamo Drafthouse. Looks like it's going to be 2 years in a row that the industry flatlined. More worrisome is the reality that many of the movie business's biggest franchises are showing signs of oversaturation or fatigue. Marvel continued to struggle with its B-team heroes. February's Captain America Brave New World and May's Thunderbolts lost tens of millions during their theatrical runs, while July's The Fantastic Four First Steps will only eke out a modest profit. And even though Avatar Fire and Ash, $760 million and counting, Wicked for Good, $504 million, and Jurassic World Rebirth, $869 million, will rank amongst the year's top grossing releases, they will fail to match the revenues of previous films and their respective series. Clearly, the theatrical industry can't thrive on sequels and spin-offs alone.
All right. Well, what do you guys think of this? Really, the industry has not recovered since COVID, and the cap of what theaters can make is, it's shrinking. So what do you guys take from this?
Well, I mean, two things. One is hasn't recovered since COVID. How about the strike?
Right.
That certainly helped things. That certainly meant that there were fewer movies in theaters this year because of the strike.
And worse.
Second thing is, what if Captain America Brave New World was a good movie? What if Fantastic Four was a good movie? What if Superman was a good movie and outperformed the way it did? That's why I don't think that there's a cap of $9 billion. It's the fact that there are movies out there that were produced that should have made a lot more money, but didn't make a lot more money. We're not superhero fatigue. I mean, superhero fatigue comes from the studio side because they were so tired of making good movies. They made Captain America Brave New World.
I think theaters are looking at the same situation that Blockbuster Video is looking at basically at this point. What we're seeing right now is just kind of like the end, right? We're in the end game here. The theaters aren't going to get better from this point on. They're not going to all of a sudden start being profitable in 2026, right? Like it's not going to happen. They weren't ready for it. They should have been. They should have prepared for this, but they have been losing money every year, and at this point, Doomsday isn't going to save the box office. And I think we need to stop saying that. Nothing is going to save the box office anymore, right? It's don't get me wrong, some movies will make a little bit more money than the others, sure. Nothing's going to save the theaters, right? Like I think we need to prepare for that, man. Like I think this is going to be less and less theaters out there. Like there's not going to be this big comeback that everybody's waiting for. It's the apathy has set in. It's just there's no more hype. There's no more. We could care less about these
bullshit.
trailers.
There's no more hype. All these motherfuckers.
No more hype.
Marvel's dead.
Marvel's dead.
Now everyone's all excited saying, are we back? Are we back? It's what Alan said. Yes, we had a pandemic and a strike and the writing went to shit because of DEI, all that shit. But at the end of the day, they're not making good things. Making good things.
How do theaters?
People go watch them.
Theaters' fault.
But Badger, that goes along with that, right? That goes along with that. I'm saying there's no saving the theater, right? Like What? All of a sudden, we're going to have this crop of just great films for like the next couple of years? Probably
I
not.
mean, yeah, kind of. If you start hiring on meritocracy, if you get rid of all the DEI, which a lot of people have done, we're seeing more and more. I'm seeing better written shit this year than I did in the last 10 years. So we are going.
I'm seeing good TV.
Trajectory.
I'm not seeing good movies.
Mm-hmm. You're not.
I mean, there's some decent films, but not enough to sustain the theaters.
Not in its current model.
Right,
but you gotta.
But to
keep
one
doing
of
good
your
stuff.
points, it's how is this the theater's fault?
No,
Are they supposed to
Alan, I'm not
hold on.
theater. I'm just saying that.
How are they supposed to prepare for bad movies coming to them? The unfortunate part of the theater is that it is so reliant on the studios producing good movies. That's the only way they can survive, and the studios are letting them down.
Mm-hmm.
Look, I'll give you that. What I'm saying though is, it's not the theater's fault, but this is a byproduct of the bullshit that's been going on for like the past 6 years now.
Right,
maybe
but Dante,
7.
it's going to happen. The thing is, you're saying it's going to happen, so fuck it. Let's just let it happen. When we're saying let's delay it as long as possible by making good things under budget, protecting the theater experience. But that needs the studios to hire people like the Taylor Sheridans of the world, not the fucking people who are just writing check boxes and minimal effort.
Okay, if I were going to try to be like a complete optimist, I would say yes. I'm going to count on the studios getting their shit together. Right.
Yeah, in lieu of that, what are theaters supposed to do?
Right.
Well, they've pivoted somewhat. They've been showing sporting events, Fathom events movies, Korean boy band films, Taylor Swift. They are throwing everything at the wall.
Popcorn buckets, for crying out loud.
Popcorn buckets. What can they do? The thing that's killed theaters is streaming and activism. The activism in the films themselves. That's what's killed it.
Also, concessions.
Seriously, what's killed it.
Can we stop fucking blaming theaters on that? Yeah, it's expensive, but guess what? They were always expensive. It was always, you would ask your parent for a hot dog. I'm not paying $5 for a hot dog. Concessions were always expensive. That's how they made their fucking money, but we were seeing good movies. So
even when tickets were $6, they were still too expensive.
Right. That's what I'm saying, Alan. Like, it was always a complaint.
Yeah.
Like, but
are we really going to compare paying $5 in the 90s to paying fucking like $25 now?
No,
I'm
in the 80s.
$25 for a hot dog. But
in the 80s was a lot of money.
We were also getting a lot better
windows, though, is probably like they don't want to spend the marketing budget twice, right? They want to spend one marketing budget so then they can cut down costs on the back end. And because the best theatrical window would be 12 months, right? You advertise the movie once, then you advertise
that only works when you have a movie.
We're still getting that crackle there, Oliver. Let me
Yeah.
share something from Roger Avery's X account. He commented on a recent on a clip from a podcast. I'm going to play the clip, but and then we'll read what Roger Avery had to say. So pay attention to this very carefully. It's 1 minute.
I think 1998 is in the running for the greatest checking all the boxes movie year we've ever had. All these different types of movies that can come out in a year.
Yeah.
Drama, Saving Private Ryan. Provocative drama, American History X. Foreign, Life is Beautiful. Beloved movie nerd movie, Out of Sight. Guys movie, Rounders. Great comedy, There's Something About Mary. Cult comedy, Big Lebowski. Goofy comedy, Wedding Singer. Conspiracy, Enemy of the State. Political, Primary Colors. War, Thin Red Line. Sports movie, He Got Game. Horror, Halloween H2O. Action, Armageddon. Well done for me and CR action, Ronin.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sci-fi, Truman Show. Sci-fi horror, Blade. Rom-com, You've Got Mail. Black rom-com, Stella Got a Groove Back. Corny drama, Patch Adams. High School, Can't Hardly Wait. Fucked up indie movie, Your Friends and Neighbors. You seen that one?
No.
It's a fucked up indie movie.
Yeah.
TV film movie, X-Files, animated A Bug's Life, and Kids Parent Trap. Think about how many categories I just listed, and we have an awesome one for each one. Let's go back.
So that's from the Rewatchables podcast, and Roger Avery commenting on this says he's absolutely correct, except it wasn't the most complete year, just perhaps the last year to be so complete. For example, 1987 was an incredibly complete year, and one could argue the films were way better. So what happened? Badger, if you would continue on, I gotta perhaps.
Digital began to take over film in the early 2000s, and along with it, long-established production methodologies.
1998 is in the running
Sorry,
for the
let me
greatest
pause
checking.
it. Sorry about that.
Oh,
Go ahead.
yeah. DCI was formed in 2002. Netflix launched in 2002, and by 2017, streaming began to take over as the primary delivery mechanism. Perhaps not coincidentally, the hashtag #MeToo movement in 2017 exposed industry abuses, leading to reforms and more diverse storytelling. Increased focus on representation followed. No look at where we are and what movies have become. Can the genie be put back in the bottle? Can we go back as easily as he suggests, or are we too far gone culturally? By the way, because one of the first exposures was Alan and like the Disney Files and all those things, and like the sheer blueprint of using Me Too to get out every single talented person to be replaced with diversity hires that essentially are just told to write what they know, and all they know is how black and gay they are. I can't, and you extrapolate that across the industry, that is beyond damaging, and we're still not getting back the people that were there writing, like actual writers.
What was in the clip. All those movies were bangers. Now, you might not like every genre that he talks about, but every one of those movies were great in their specific niche and category. And guess what? They were diverse. They were diverse stories.
Look at this.
Go ahead, Alan.
Yeah, look at this. You look at, this is 1998. Dr. Dolittle, okay, remake. Lethal Weapon 4, sequel. The rest all original. Oh, Godzilla. I guess Godzilla you could throw in there. But look at it. No sequel, very few sequels, very few remakes. I mean, I don't know that you consider Dr. Dolittle a remake, neither Godzilla at that time. But look at this entire list. You keep going down. Enemy of the State, Rush Hour, Mark Zorro, Patch Adams, Prince of Egypt, Waterboy. Literally less than what, 3. If we go on this, current trend of sequels and remakes, 3 of them in 1998. The rest were all original.
Well, I'm just glad to see. Follow Roger Avery, by the way, on X. He's just Avery. Is his, and he's being bold about much of his commentary, but what was said on the podcast is correct. And every one of those movies, I've seen all those movies, and they're all really good for their time, for their specific genre. We don't have that now. I've been working on my best and worst list of 2025. There's a lot of movies that are mid, that are so forgettable. They don't deserve to be on the worst. This is what most of the movies, I went through all our reviews for the year, Alan.
Yeah.
The movies that I went all the way from January to up to the present. It was weird to revisit. So many movies, I saw that movie, couldn't tell you much about it. That's how just bad things are. And by the way, there is a strike coming. SAG, they're in discussions for another strike.
Yeah. All right, Dante, you're right. The theaters are dead.
Yeah, we're not just saying it takes us all working together, and they're gonna fuck it up.
Yeah.
Where's the leadership from studios to say we're gonna make a good romantic comedy here? We'll do a thing here. We'll do it like he laid out all these really good films in niche genres, even subgenres.
Hey, look at this one, Armageddon and Deep Impact. There were 2 original movies that had the same plot.
Well,
it made the top 10.
Yeah, well, Armageddon was the popcorn. Deep Impact was actually more of a
more
thoughtful drama, but like they took different approaches, but it was the same premise.
And they both worked.
They both worked.
They both made the top 10.
What they are. But
right.
It's just
look
it's
at
bizarre
who they were made by, and look at why they were made. Again, motivation for making the shit and who makes it is the key thing here. When Oliver said release, that's the word with Netflix, right? They're going to shrink all the release windows to 2 weeks, but who gives a shit if it's a made for streaming movie? You need movies worth being in the theater for 45 days or more, that people want to see more, but you can't do that if you're just doing the bare minimum, which is what they've been doing.